Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. Having my coffee this morning. Winter has definitely returned today to us, and today's probably the first time in 10 days or so that I've had a little bit of spare time. I wanted to do a video for you guys and sort of go over some of the things that have taken place in the last few days. And before I start, I want to thank everybody who put the well wishes and the prayers into the community post that I did a couple of days back, sort of explaining this situation. And we shared those with our family member that was sick, and they really enjoyed seeing everybody's well wishes and responses to that post. So I want to thank you guys for doing that. It is a small world, and when we share those little things, they can have big ramifications down the road. So I want to thank you guys for doing that. And if you guys didn't see the community post, this is basically it in a nutshell. We were notified on very short notice that we had a family member that was ill, and they were going to the ER pretty much immediately. And I have never wore a uniform. I have never been in the military, but I've had a lot of experiences where things have gone wrong like this, and somehow I was always wrapped up in these experiences helping. And I find that these everyday experiences are the ones that people tend to have problems with, and I've seen it time and time again. There's just some basic things when things go SHTF in everyday life where people aren't ready for those everyday things. You watch YouTube videos and stuff, it's always the big SHTF events that people talk about, but it's those small everyday ones that are the most common, and they're the ones that can really throw people into a tailspin, and they don't know how to handle those situations. So I feel it necessary to share my experiences with you guys, so you guys can take something from my experiences, give you a different angle on how to look at things. And that's why I go ahead and I do these little more common videos, I guess. But that was the situation, and there were a few things that I made notes while this was all going on, mental notes, where I could go back and kind of go over some of this stuff. And the first thing was my EDC, my everyday carry items that I normally have sort of in my pockets and stuff. That is what I had with me. Now, I've got a well-engineered bag and pack that I take with me in my vehicle, and I've spent years putting it together, used it on multiple different occasions and different situations. I wasn't able to take that pack along this time because it was one of those situations. Hey, this is happening. I'm okay. Let me go grab my pack. Nope, there's no time for that. We got to go right now. Okay, let's go. So, jump in the vehicle and go. And this highlights a very important point. You can have the best gear in the world. You can have practice with that gear. You can, you've got everything squared away in your mind, but the situation gets a vote. There's a military saying where it says the enemy gets a vote in what's going on. And I look at that a lot with just everyday situations. The situation itself is going to dictate what you can do. And this particular situation for me dictated that I couldn't go back. I didn't have enough time to go grab my pack out of my vehicle and go. So you might have the best gear in the world, but the situation might not allow you to access that. You might be found without your gear. You might be found with just the things in your pocket. Sometimes you might not even have that. So in the prepping community, we all take pride in our gear to a certain extent, but sometimes you might be separated from that gear, and you might be separated from your preps. Now you have to figure out how to get by with whatever the situation is with less than you expected. That is the definition of an SHTF. Now, for me, an SHTF is always going to be an unexpected situation. There's, problems that we can plan for and we foresee coming and stuff, but it's those unexpected things that are the true SHTFs in my mind. So, when I woke up that morning, got ready, went to work, I did not expect 20 hours later to be over 100 miles away in the city with just the stuff in my pocket trying to help out family members in a bad situation. That was the situation. That is what the situation dictated for that particular event. So there I was. The situation went from bad to worse. We were at the ER. The doctor said, "Hey, this is bad. Got to be transferred." And if you know anything about hospitals out in the country, they don't provide that many services. So usually if something bad happens, the first thing they do is they load you in a ambulance and they send you to a big city hospital. And that's exactly what happened with this particular situation. So, we followed, not knowing how long this situation is going to last. And that's something else with, these SHTF situations, these everyday things. Sometimes you don't know when the end point is going to be. When you're in the flow of the SHTF, you don't know when the end is going to be. You're not going to be aware of when the end point is going to be. So you're sort of in an endurance game at that point. You just have to go along with the flow. And the 100-mile drive, that's why I always preach everybody keep a full tank of gas in their vehicles, because we had no problems with fuel whatsoever. We jumped in the vehicles and we just followed the ambulance and we got down there. Because where we were going, and that's another thing with directions and stuff, I made sure before we left that everybody had hard addresses and directions so we could get to where we were going to, because this particular hospital that we were going to, none of us had ever been there before. So it was at night, it was kind of a rushed thing. So I made everybody take screenshots of the address and the directions so they all had them in their devices so we could get to where we needed to go. What I had in my pockets, I had my basic everyday carry items. I had my knife, I had my flashlight, I had my cigarette lighter, I had my charging pack with my cords. This came in very handy. I got a couple different charging cords that I got Ranger banded on my pack. This rides in my coat pocket, and this helped other people charge their devices. It should always be a pack that has multiple charges in it, because you might not have to just charge your device, you might have to charge other people's device. This was a true lifesaver, because the grid's up now, so everybody's phones and smartphones are their main communication devices. And I don't think that that's emphasized enough in prepping channels. Everybody automatically goes to the ham radios and the walkie-talkies and stuff like that. But right now, with the situation the way it is and the world the way it is, everything still works, and that is, your phone is your main source of communication and access to the internet, which can be very important for directions, finding out what medical terms mean. There's just a million things that you can use your phone for. My headphones was another thing that I had with me. I always carry those with me so I can monitor things discreetly if something else would be going on. Sleep deprivation is another thing that I want to mention. When these situations take place, it's good to know people in your family who can handle getting by with less sleep than necessary. I was the one that basically drove, because I can handle the sleep deprivation better than other members of the family. And there's certain people in our family that are very sharp and are very good, but when 8, 10, 12 hours of stressful events take place, they start to shut down. And that's just a normal part of human nature. And it's always fallen to me that when those wee hours of the morning come around, so to speak, I'm the guy that sort of steps up then, and then I drive and let everybody else sort of rest and stuff so that they can take over when I start to get tired. But I know my limitations, and that's because I've had multiple experiences like this over the years. I'm usually good for about 48 hours, and then I start to crank down. And but a lot of other people, they're not used to that, so always keep in mind, whenever an SHTF happens, there's going to be some type of sleep deprivation involved. Food and water. Now, I can go without food for many, many hours. It doesn't bother me. I've done it before. Water, on the other hand, something to drink, whether it's water, whether it's soda pop, whether it's coffee, whatever, those things definitely help. So you never want to turn down a situation. If you get somebody offers you a coffee in a situation like this, or they offer you something to drink or a can of pop or something like that, you need to take that and you need to drink that, because you don't know when you're going to get something again. And younger people and older people, I'm a grown adult that's probably, too fat to begin with, so I can skip a few meals. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me. But older people and younger people, they need to eat. So always keep that in mind. If you're offered something, a snack, whatever, like when you're in a hospital emergency room or whatever, always take advantage of that. Because in our situation, it was the middle of the night. Everything was closed. There was no place in that hospital except maybe, vending machines here and there where any type of food could be gotten. Now remember, I didn't have my pack with me. Now I always got a little bit of food in my pack, but the situation dictated that I couldn't take that along with me. So I was stuck. So I couldn't just whip into my magic pack and hand people, granola bars or whatever. So you got to keep that in mind. You want to take advantage of everything that's offered to you in these sort of SHTF situations. Another thing, and this is probably was my biggest mistake that took place on this. Again, my pack has my medication in it, and I always carry pretty much a day's worth of medication on my person, in my coat pocket or whatever, and then I have spares in my pack. Well, I didn't take my pack again, so I was down to my, just what I had on me, which was basically my 12, 18 hours worth of medication. I ran out of that. The situation lasted longer, and I took the medication that I had and then just went without. Now, that's probably not the most ideal situation. So that's one thing now that this has happened here, because I've never had a problem accessing my extra medication before. So it was I overlooked this on my particular part. So now, from now on, my daily medication, I'm going to bump that up to at least 48 hours on my person all the time, because the situation gets a vote. The situation dictates, how things are going to go down, so to speak. But other than that, we got through it, and it could have been a lot worse. If I didn't have the charging pack with me, if the gas tank wasn't full, if I didn't have people, have the correct information to get where they were going to, if I didn't have those things in place, it would have made a bad situation worse. So I give myself about a 75% on this particular SHTF that happened, and the big 25 was I couldn't access my gear. But sometimes that happens, and that isn't the first time that that's happened to me, where the situation dictated where I couldn't access, the equipment and stuff that I had with me. But those are some things I want everybody to think about. If you carry medication with you, you got to have spares. You got to have something to charge that phone up. Got to have gas in the tank. Never turn down drinks, sodas, food if it's offered, because you don't know when that stuff's going to happen again. And I'm going to mention one other thing. I always carry a defensive tool with me. Big city hospitals are like demilitarized zones. So if you carry those type of implements, you need to have a stash plan, because you're not going to be able to take those in. There's going to be metal detectors. There's going to be, I've even seen pat downs. I've seen all this kind of stuff in big city hospitals. So you need a plan to stash your defensive implement so you can go in and do what you got to do into these places. And I don't mean the glove box of your vehicle. I mean a hardened place where you can store that stuff, where it's a safe place, because of course, the best hospitals are always in the worst neighborhoods, so you don't want your vehicle broken into and that stuff taken out of there. So you want to use both hardened security measures, I'm going to say, and you want to use deception on where you stash your stuff, so that stuff doesn't get compromised in any way, shape, or form. I think you guys can understand that the way I'm explaining that. But that is, that is the situation. You might wake up in the morning and you might find yourself 24 hours later in a completely foreign environment in a situation that you did not expect to happen that day. That is the definition of an everyday SHTF. And it happens all the time to people all over the place. And, you can't control the situation. You can definitely plan ahead, think about these type situations, and you can go ahead and do the best you can to mitigate some of the problems that arise in these type of situations. But I just wanted to share this experience with you guys here. For us, it's still ongoing. It's going to probably be ongoing for a while, but I wanted to take time today to share that those instances with you so you guys can learn from my situation, and we can all basically share and learn from each other. And I want to thank you guys for everything that you did in the community post, and appreciate all you guys out there. You guys watch your backs and watch each other's backs, and you guys take care. This Modern Refugee, have a good one.